Well, decades ago, back in the '60s, and a guy by the name of Ray Gare put this ranch together piece by piece, and he bought a lot of it in 40-acre tracts. It was all brush, timber, and there was a fairly good-sized tract of land. I think it was like 700 acres, and it was the original goat ranch, and it was nothing but brush, so they ran goats in it. And he bought it, and that's where he got started. And it just the name always stuck with the goat ranch. There hasn't been goats on this ranch since then. I mean, we dabbled in it for a few months until they got in the neighbor's soybean field, and we got out of it. So, uh, but it's the name's always stuck. That's what everybody locally knows it as. So we just keep it as that. And, but Ray Gare, he put it all together. There was several thousand acres here, and at one time he owned 10,000 acres scattered out across several counties. But then his grandkids inherited, and then later on, my past partner, the Bakers, him and Steve Squibb bought this part of the ranch, the Dade County side, and that part of the ranch was 1,700 some acres at that time, and they owned it for 20 some years. They rented it to the Walter boys, and then Bob and I partnered up whenever I was 19 years old and become really good friends. He was a great role model for me, taught me a lot about business. I learned how to work for my family, and Bob taught me the business side of things, how to put your hard work to make money. And so we started a cattle operation, and then a few years later with the '08 crash, Bob owned some banks, and so he had to do some restructuring on his end, and our company was able to purchase the ranch from Baker and Squibb, and so then it was Baker Spain Land and Cattle, and then we added to it, and now it's over 2,100 acres here on this Dade County side, and we leased the Lawrence County side from Gare Dixon and his family still, and it was his grandfather that put the ranch together. But over the years, I don't think that anybody has ever referred to this ranch as anything other than the Goat Ranch, ever. So it's kept its name, and there's been cowboys that rode on it for years, cowboying, and now it's awesome to look out and see all these people that's enjoying it again, and they get to enjoy it for a full week, and little kids running around. My dad and my grandfather were the cowboys for Ray Gare, along with his grandkids, and they worked the ranch, and we made a Facebook post probably a year ago about the mineral feeders, and as you ride around the ranch, you'll see these little mineral sheds, and that's how my dad paid his way through college, was building those, and so they're still intact today. We don't really use them, but we send a guy around every couple of years to keep them up and everything. But then, after Bob Baker passed away, shortly after that, we started having events down here, and with his daughter. And then a few years after that, we made an offer to purchase them out, and so now it's just Jordan and I and our family, and that's in the Spain family. Growing up, my working cattle was a family thing. We'd pick a Saturday, all the grandkids would be there, Grandma would fix lunch, and everybody after we worked, we'd walk down to the house. And I remember growing up, and I was just, that was like the highlight of working cattle, which we only ran about 300 head of cows growing up, not a whole lot, but so when it was cattle working time, that was a big deal for us kids, riding the ponies around, gathering cattle, but we did it as a family, and that was something that my dad, he implemented it at our house, and we worked cattle as a family, and that's something that I always dreamed of having a family, a family ranch, having the kids out, and we're blessed having my sister, my brother-in-law, that's helped us for over 13 years, and he's got 3 daughters, and they're pretty close, same age as our kids, and so the cousins are out here. Willie Guy will have them up at 5 in the morning before the sun comes up, multiple times a week. And when you get home at night and you're trying to make the land payment, um, and you're stressed about stuff, it's days like that when you're horseback and you look out and you see your kids and your nieces all as a family working this ranch together. It makes it all worth it. So that's kind of been the short version, of the goat ranch. There's a lot more details into all of that, but that's how we got here. And
I like to say that this is Josh's dream and we're all just living in it, because it truly is his dream, and now it's become mine, and I hope that it's my kid's dream someday to take it over.
Yeah, most people don't know this, but my great-great-grandfather owned the valley west of the track in the 30s. And my grandfather worked for him. They were poor. His father ran off and left him through the Depression, a family of 4 kids. And he walked as the crow would fly about 4 miles north of here. He'd walk back here and he'd help his grandfather work that bottom and plow it up behind a horse. And that's, to me, it's a very emotional weekend. Seeing everybody here and thinking back of my grandfather and the stories he would tell me as we were feeding cattle on that ranch right there that joins our ranch today. And he would point over the fence and he'd say, that's where my grandfather lived, and I helped him work that ground. And my great-great-grandfather lost that farm in the 30s. There's 400 acres there for $75 for the bank. And a lot of my dream came to me like a lot of young cowboys. They watch the movie Lonesome Dove, and you just get wrapped up in the passion, into being a cowboy and what it's all about, and loving life. And it's like Gus says, it's not dying I'm talking about, it's living. And my grandfather had an absolute love for a ranchy cow horse. And so he would go to the fraternity in Fort Worth every December, and he would take the grandkids, any grandkids that wanted to go. And so in the back seat of that car to Fort Worth, that is where the seed was planted of my dream to own this goat ranch, because I looked at it my whole life across the fence, and I always dreamed of owning the goat ranch. I didn't know the man that owned it or anything like that. I just wanted to own it. And I sat in the back seat of that car as a 12-year-old boy, and I had took the plat book that my dad had at the house, and I took it on the trip, and on the back seat of that car, I traced out how the ranch laid on the plat book, and I would put where I'm going to build a barn or where I'm going to build a pond. Didn't know how the territory really lay, just done. But that was where it started, 12 years old, and it's almost surreal to think at such a young age I was able to own my dream. And I think that the hours that I've spent on that very hill, that Spectator Hill, praying every Sunday before church, just guidance of where I'm supposed to be or if I'm going through a tough time. And there's been lots of tough times.
Hasn't been easy. And
between buying out a partner, feeling like you're buying the ranch out twice, and making the ranch payments, it's been tough. But I know now what I'm here for. I know it's not just to own this ranch. It's not just to own this ranch with my family. It's to inspire these young kids that they can have their dream too. It don't matter if it's a ranch. It don't matter if it's owning a car dealership. It doesn't matter what it is in this world. If you want it and you're willing to work for it, you can have it. And that's what I feel like God's laid on my heart in the last few years when I think like, hey, what's my purpose here? Like, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but what's my purpose? And I think that's I think that's what it is. It's to inspire these kids that you can have what you want. It just takes hard work. And when you look around and you come to the Goat Ranch, it's not me, it's not Jordan, it's not me and Jordan. There is a team of people that make this ranch beautiful. There's guys on dozers, there's guys brush hogging, there's guys spraying, and it just takes a multitude of people to make this successful. And that's probably the most humbling thing when you sit down at night and you get to thinking about how did we get here, and you think of all the progress that's been made with people. And it's not us, it's a whole slug of them, and it's very moving.